Good morning, and welcome to Lesson 1, Part 31. As promised, the previous video was the last part, was the last meditation instruction for this lesson, this set of videos comprising Lesson 1. Now we're going to find a way to protect the good karma that we've just generated and even multiply it, as promised. Now, as always, this video lesson is only going to make sense if you are looking at the latest version of the PDF entitled The First Set of Lesson Texts. You can download it for free. Just use the second link below this video, provided you're on this video's dedicated YouTube page. If you're not, no problem. Just look towards the bottom left-hand corner of this video, find the YouTube icon, give that a double click, and watch the magic occur. So now that you're on the YouTube page for this video, the second link below this video should say something along the lines of buddhajoy.com/first quarter class materials, or something along those lines. Go to that page. Second item on that page will give you the link you need to download the latest version of this PDF. If you are watching these videos regularly, do yourself a favor and download it every time you watch a new video. That's how quickly it's updated. It's free. It takes you, 30 seconds? It's no big deal. So let's continue. And by the way, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, don't start on Part 31. Start on Part 1. Lesson 1, Part 1. Do yourself a favor. Set yourself up to comprehend. You'll be glad you did. Okay, so I got my serious students here, everyone who's watched the previous 30 videos. Cool. So, join me now on page 10 of first set of lesson texts. And you'll notice that there are 3 exercises, or 3 recitations. The first one is entitled Bodhicitta's Essence. And that is what we're going to work with today. Bodhicitta has 2 aspects, a conventional aspect and an ultimate aspect. Conventional bodhicitta deals with love and compassion. Ultimate bodhicitta deals with the wisdom of letting go. Right now we're going to focus more on the bodhicitta of compassion and love. And by the way, what does bodhicitta mean? Bodhi means mind. Bodhi means enlightenment, chitta means mind, so it could be translated as, you guessed it, the mindset of enlightenment. Now, do you remember, now it's time, folks, for a pop quiz. Remember we talked about the 3 types of people? What were they? Boobs, bodhisattvas, and Buddhas. What's a boob? And we've all been boobs. We've been boobs whenever we have allowed our impulses or our sufferings to be the boss of us. What's a bodhisattva? Someone who says, I don't want my impulses or my sufferings to be the boss of us. And so to make sure that doesn't happen, I'm going to practice Buddha's mental techniques, mental yogas of devotion, awareness, love, and letting go. Great, that's a bodhisattva. What's a Buddha? A Buddha is simply a bodhisattva who's gotten so good at those 4 mental yogas. He's mastered them to such a degree that he's able to practice them, you guessed it, spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. We remember this by reciting this dedication of virtuous merit. Well, what's a dedication of virtuous merit? Well, what's virtuous merit? Virtue is another way of saying good. Merit is another way of saying karma. So in other words, we have generated all this good karma. How? By practicing all the techniques that you've learned in the last 30 videos. You've generated all this good karma. So now it's time to, karma is just energy, to guide it in a specific direction. Why? Why do you want to do that? 2 reasons. The first reason, to protect it. Everything is subject to everything else. Everything is affected by everything else, if not directly, then indirectly, if not actually, then at least potentially. And a great illustration of this would be a stack full of $20 bills. If you had a stack of $20 bills this thick, and you were sitting on a park bench, and it was a windy day, what would happen if you set it down beside you? Well, they'd blow away, and of course that would really suck. Especially if you're going to use that stack of money, I don't know, to pay rent. But if you had that money rounded and you bound it in a rubber band, it wouldn't blow away. That'd be pretty nice. If you had that money you put in your bank account, it would be even more secure and it would earn interest even better. So what we found in Buddhism is that after you've generated good karma, there's ways to make sure it doesn't dissipate. And that is by aiming it at something really, really good. By aiming it at something good for ourselves is good. By aiming it at something good for many others, including ourselves, is even better. By aiming it at something very good for all living beings is best. The greater, and so it's the traditional teaching is that the greater the number of living beings you share your good karma with, the more your good karma is multiplied. And that flies in the face of the way we're conditioned. We're conditioned to feel and to think that of scarce and lack and fear. And that I have a good thing, and if I share it, I'll have less of it. So I better not share it. I must hoard it all to myself. Yep, that's the kind of thinking that leads people to become Republicans. Oh yeah, I said it. But there's this fun school of thought that says no. The more you share your good karma with, the more you multiply your good karma. After all, energy cannot be destroyed. It just changes form. Yes, but it can't, it can't be increased either. But that's okay, because what we can do with energy is we can feed it. We can multiply it. Every time we use our energy, it's like money. If you put your money in a good investment, you receive dividends plus principal, which is a net increase. Same thing with our good energy. If we use our energy, our good energy, to do good things, we have even more good energy. Well, that's very vague. That's very nebulous. Well, let's look at the top exercise, the first exercise on page 10, the first recitation on page 10, so we can have some specificity. By this virtue, good karma, may I now accomplish what? The spontaneous, habitual, easy, and effective mastery of Buddha's mental yogas of devotion, awareness, love, and letting go. Well, we've already explored awareness. We have already explored letting go. Right now, we're performing an exercise of love, an exercise that's meeting the needs of others. In the third lesson, we'll explore devotion to a greater degree. Although it could be argued the very act of invoking the Buddha of compassion through the clever use of the 6-syllable mantra is in itself an act of devotion. So arguably, this 9-minute exercise is in itself a complete spiritual practice. So far it's been all about me. By my virtuous merit, may I now accomplish the spontaneous, habitual, easy, and effective mastery of Buddha's mental yogas of devotion, awareness, love, and letting go. Great. I've protected my good karma. Now let's multiply this good karma. And now lead every living being, without exception, to this ground. So, you could say, well, why are we saying now? Why are we saying later, when I've become a Buddha? Because when it comes to manifesting things, there is no later. There is only now. If you manifest something happening next year, or next quarter, or next month, or next week, or next day, it'll never get here. Just like that dreadful song from the ridiculous musical Annie. tomorrow, you're always a day away. Oh, my mother and my sister used to play that all the time. Anyway, tomorrow's always a day away. So we manifest things to happen right now. And lead every living being without exception to this ground. Yes, every living being, our friends, our enemies, and strangers. Every living being. Now you could say, wait a second here. What if I don't feel loving? What if I feel like a selfish bastard? If I recite these words, even though I feel like a selfish bastard, won't that make me a liar? Won't that make me a hypocrite? No, because you're not trying to fool anyone. You're being honest with yourself. You're saying, yes, I feel like a cranky curmudgeon, but regardless of what I feel, I choose, I will, I intend that good things happen to everyone. See, that's the difference between a boob and a bodhisattva. A boob is a slave to his emotions and his impulses. A bodhisattva says, yes, I'm aware of when I'm feeling the crap emotions I'm experiencing at this moment. But despite those crap emotions, I will, I intend, I wish for these wonderful things to happen to all living beings. That's the opportunity that is set before us to be something more than the cranky bastards we've been all our lives. The opportunity to become a spiritual superhero, kind of like Neo in the Matrix. Or at least in the last reel of the Matrix when he was flying and stuff. Pretty cool. So, what I like to do is I like to recite this in a question and answer way. Question and answer is use a phrase in music to describe even in odd lines. One line ending in an up note, one line ending in a down note. So listen and see if you can notice the question and answer in each line. By this virtue may now accomplish the spontaneous, habitual, easy, and effective mastery of Buddha's mental yogas of devotion, awareness, love, and letting go. And now lead every living being without exception to this ground. Now you could say, why am I doing this? Using a question and answer paradigm or pattern makes it easier to recite a recitation or a wish in a small group. Some people decide to practice with me in a live weekly webinar, and that's fun. Some people decide to practice with me during a 14-day retreat. That's fun. Those are great opportunities to practice together. And if we're just reciting it conversationally, it sounds like a beehive. But if reciting things with the question and answer intonations, it sounds like, a real language. Some of my students, for instance, I have one student who is a member, participates in a weekly webinar, and she's planning to vacation in Southern California. So while she's going to be on vacation, she's planning to come by for her weekly class, but actually in person. And won't that be fun? So there's all these different opportunities to study with me, either in person or over the internet, once a week, or in a 14-day intensive. It's a lot of fun. So that's enough for right now. We've learned the bodhicitta's essence, where we've discussed what it means to be we've refreshed our memory, what it means to be a bodhisattva, practicing devotion, awareness, love, and letting go. What it means to be a Buddha, mastering that path. And what it means to be a loving individual, wishing that everyone is able to do likewise. So when it says in the final two lines, and now lead every living being without exception to this ground means level or echelon. It's a reference to an idea in Mahayana Buddhism called the Bodhisattva Bhumis, or levels of the great vehicle. According to some teachers, the 10th level is full enlightenment. And it's possible. I've already helped students accomplish the 10th level. It doesn't mean you never experience suffering ever again. Look at Christ, look at Lao Tzu, look at Buddha. All these men experience suffering. It means that suffering is no longer the boss of you. You're no longer a a slave to your cranky impulses, or your cowardly impulses, or your melancholy impulses. You are a master of the teachings and are able to apply them in a way that enriches your life and the lives of others. Quick benediction. May you and yours be healthy and happy. Om Mani Padme Hum. And of course, I want to remind you to click the subscribe button. And after you do that, put your cursor back, hover your cursor over that button to reveal 3 more little buttons. Click the bottom box, and you'll be able to receive email notifications every time I load a new YouTube video. I recommend that. That's the easiest way to keep abreast of my teachings. Yes, I said breast. Oh no. Below the video, the second link takes you to the registration page, so you can sign up for the next series of weekly webinars that begin Friday, November 2nd. See you there. Bye-bye.